Hello everyone, Richard here, and today we're going to be looking at a few simple tips that will help you get started liberating Washington, D.C. in The Division 2. The Division 2 is probably the most numbers-heavy shooter that I have ever played, and is likely very daunting for new players to the franchise just due to how numerically complex it is. These tips will be in no particular order, as they will mostly vary in usefulness depending on your experience with third-person, cover-based, and loot shooters. The first tip I have is to make sure you check your progress on projects located in settlements. These, in addition to giving you a nice chunk of XP, will also unlock blueprints for mods and gear. And most of these will require you to donate materials, a certain number of gear items such as backpacks, gloves, etc., and complete activities throughout certain areas of the map. While not all the blueprints are super useful, a lot of the mod blueprints will help you personalize your weapons and allow them to better fit into your desired function. Either way, projects will be a big boost to your combat abilities, or at the very least, give you additional options, allowing for increased flexibility when approaching enemies. Another important aspect worth investing some time into is clearing control points and completing various activities throughout DC, like supply drops and restoring broadcasts. In addition to helping you out completing projects, they will also reward you with a fair amount of XP. Plus, they will also further long-term game objectives, with control points being particularly useful in this regard. Control points also have storage rooms that are accessible once the point is liberated, giving you access to some very good weapons, gear, and materials. Each room will typically contain 2 weapons, 2 pieces of gear, and a handful of rare crafting items. In addition, control points will need various supplies after they've been captured, which may sound sort of tedious, but they will reward you even further if you give them the supplies they need the most. Control points can be found on the map or via exploration, and are indicated by a red flag, while random activities will be represented with a white question mark. The following topic is a bit complex and will probably require its own video, but it's important to keep track of what bonuses you have applied when it comes to selecting gear and weapon mods especially. As you progress, you will acquire name brand gear from various companies like 511 Tactical and Providence Defense, just to name a few, and using several items of the same brand in combination with each other, such as a 511 backpack and knee pads, will confer a set bonus. These set bonuses can further emphasize a particular specialty for your agent or help cover a deficiency. Either way, if possible, try to keep an eye out for matching gear items, even if it means sacrificing a few points in armor. For weapons, it's important not to have too much overlap with attachments, since they almost always have a noticeable downside for whatever positive they bring. For example, having a grip that increases accuracy but reduces stability, and a muzzle brake that does the converse, really wouldn't make much sense unless they both balance out to have a significant positive for both stability and accuracy. Also, try to mod around the weapon's intended role, like improving the stability of LMGs or the reload time for more aggressive weapons like assault rifles and submachine guns. Also, certain penalties will be rather negligible depending on the weapon. A minor reduction in reloading to a DMR may not be a huge loss if you gain improved accuracy or stability. Tip number 4 revolves more around combat and was honestly something I had to learn the hard way, since I'm not super familiar with third-person shooters. While I wouldn't describe this game as hardcore or being a hardcore experience at all, it will definitely punish you for playing like an idiot. Playing smart and tactical, as well as maintaining an aggressive momentum, is the best recipe for success. Things like sticking close to cover, prioritizing more dangerous enemies, and always reloading when you have time are some simple tips that will help keep you above ground and avoiding an untimely death. Remember to use your skills too, as they can have a very decisive effect on the outcome of an engagement, even if it's as simple as throwing a turret out to distract an enemy. Suppression is also a very important mechanic, especially in cooperative play. Suppressing a distant enemy, elite, or boss can allow you, or perhaps more importantly, your team, to close the distance and catch them on the flank. Finally, grenades are another great tool for dislodging an enemy from cover, as they will often rather run out into the open than absorb the full impact of a grenade. Remember, tactical options don't always have to kill to be useful. My final bit of advice revolves around exploring, particularly the sewer system, dark zone, and hunting down SHD caches. While all of these are usually off the beaten path, they're almost always very rewarding. SHD caches will not only give you points to spend on perks and new skills, but also additional materials and gear. Exploring the sewer system, marked with a downward yellow arrow on the map, can also yield good loot and hyena keys, which are used to unlock hyena boxes found in various missions. While the dark zone may be daunting for newer players, it can still hold some very useful loot even if you don't extract contaminated items. Enemies can and will often drop uncontaminated loot, which will not be lost if you are killed by a rogue agent, and will not require extraction via helicopter. I hope you found at least some of these tips useful, and again, I plan on revisiting many of these topics in the future and in much greater detail. Let me know if you had anything to add or what topics you'd like covered in depth in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching. Join us next time when we dive into tips for building a loadout. But until then, happy hunting, agents.